My name is Jane Eliasoff. I'm the Executive Director of the Montclair History Center, and I'd like to welcome you to our second You Must Remember This program with Donato DiGeronimo. And tonight we have two special guests. Both of them are his aunts. We have Molly DiGeronimo DiCarlo and Jeannie DiGeronimo Cosgrove, and they both are over 100 years old. So we're really lucky to have them with us tonight on tonight's program. This is sort of an oral history meets the pandemic kind of program. We started doing the oral histories a couple of years ago, thanks to a grant from the New Jersey Council for the Humanities. And we had so much fun with them that when the pandemic hit, we thought, well, let's take them on Zoom, because if we had a lot of fun with them, you probably will as well. And so we did one last month. We're doing this one tonight. We'll do it next month, and we're just going to keep going. So I hope you continue to join in on these programs as well as some of our other virtual programs. I'd like especially tonight to thank Red Star Paint and Decorating Center and DiGeronimo Realty, because they are underwriting this program and they're our sponsors. So thank you, and thank them very, very much. And I think that's all I'm going to say, because I have a feeling this group wants to chat. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Donato, and I'm going to unmute you and your guests.
First of all, two corrections. One, they're not both my aunts. Molly is my aunt, and Jeannie is my father's and Molly's first cousin. And Jeannie will be 100 in February. Molly will be 102 December 30th. So, okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're gonna talk. All right. Sebastiano and Maria Santoro, later changed to Sandora, emigrated to Newark in 1888. They had 10 children, eight of them born in Newark. Twins Maria and Rose were born in 1894 in Newark, New Jersey, on 14th Avenue and Morris Avenue. The DiGeronimo brothers were both born in Lacedonia, Italy, of a family of 11 children. Donato was born in 1884 and Vincenzo 3 years later in 1887. They arrived in the USA in June and October of 1906. Maria married Vincenzo in 1909, and they had 15 children. Rose married Donato in 1914. They were trying to catch up, but they had 13 children. In both cases, two of the children died at an early age in both families. The twins' older brother, Joseph Sandora, had already married Josephine DiGeronimo, a cousin of the brothers, and an older sister, Vincenza Sandora, married Rocco Bellafato, another cousin of the brothers. Each of those families had 10 children. So you'll hear the story sometimes and a lot about twin sisters marrying two brothers and having 28 kids between them and living together. You'll hear that through the thread of here. But also they had a brother and sister that married relatives of the DiGeronimos, and they had 10 kids each. So it's actually 48 kids, and they all lived within probably a quarter mile of each other. Okay, so let's get started. This is for Molly and Jeannie. We'll start with Molly because she's the older one. When and where were you born? Molly.
When and where were you born? When and where were you born? I'm the translator.
I was born on number 12 Willowdale Avenue, Montclair, in 1918, in the middle of the Spanish flu. So I lived through that, and I'm living through this. How many more?
And you had a sister. Tell about your sister. You had a sister who passed away from the Spanish flu.
1919, January 3rd, my older sister passed away with the Spanish flu. So I was born at it. I don't know whether it was a happy or a sad time, because of me being born, my sister dying 4 days later.
And Jeannie, how about you? Where were you born?
On February 12th, 1921, and lived on Willowdale Avenue for a good many years.
You were both born at 12 Willowdale?
No, I was born at number 10, I believe.
Do you want to tell that story? You started out in number 12 and what happened?
No, I think I was born in number 10.
I
Right,
don't
but,
know.
And then we
Mom-
moved. What, Molly?
I think you were born at number 12.
Uh, okay,
Oh,
do you
anyway.
remember?
Wherever you were born, we were born next door to each other,
Yeah,
but you
okay.
were much younger.
Yes,
older.
2 years younger.
They were all safe. They were all
Older
living
than
in the
you.
same house. Go ahead.
What's that, Donnie?
You were living in the same house either way.
Oh,
whether-
yes, we
Uh,
were.
Lived at number 10 together.
Yes.
Number 10, we all
Yes.
lived together.
That's
I
right.
don't know if you were born at number 12. You probably born number 10. Because
Yeah, I think it was number 10.
I was about 3 years old when we moved to number 10. My father.
Okay.
They were building number 10 while they were living in number 12 on Willowdale Avenue, which is close to Glenfield Park.
What do
Oh,
you
So-
Donnie, I didn't know
They
that.
were building number
Now I'm
10,
getting
living in number
educated.
12.
So
Yeah.
what was it like living? So you were all living together. The two families were living together at that time, and for almost over 20 years they lived together. What was that like living with all of those kids in the house?
Was a
Oh,
lot of
yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
And Molly, how
And
did you?
Molly,
And
and
Molly, how
Molly-
did you sleep?
How did you sleep?
4 in a bed.
We slept 4 in a bed. We always had a bed, but we were 4. We were comfortable.
Yeah. And it didn't matter. So you were all sleeping. How many bedrooms were there?
Yes,
I
Five.
think there were 5.
5.
Yes, right. Yeah. Yes. And number 46, there
Some
were
rooms
5
had 2
bedrooms.
beds.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we
yeah?
slept. We were good and healthy. We had fun, didn't we, Jeannie? We got along.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Yes.
So and what kind of work did your fathers do?
What do you say?
Jeannie.
My father was the tailor and
What work did
Zizi
your father do?
was the presser.
Father do?
He did the pressing. And my father
And,
delivered the clothes.
And Molly, what did your father do?
Well, when my father came from Italy, he had a trade. He owned a shoemaker shop. And then when they got together, so he worked for my uncle. He did the pressing and my uncle did the tailoring.
Her father had a tailor shop, a shoemaker shop on 12 Spring Street, directly across from Lackawanna Plaza.
What is
And
that?
then later on, he went in partners with his brother.
For the shop.
So where was the tailor shop?
On Orange Road,
There was a number. Do you remember?
315 Orange Road
Right.
was the tailor shop.
And they owned a couple stores there, correct?
Yes, they did.
They
They
owned
owned-
all that property.
Yeah. And there was a
Yeah,
house
yeah,
behind it.
yeah,
It's still there today.
It's still there.
Is it still there? Wow.
Yes.
Molly, you lived on the 2nd floor for a while.
Oh, we lived on the 2nd floor for a couple of years. Then my father
Yeah.
purchased the 282 Orange Road, and that's where was our home then until my father passed away. And my Aunt Rita got married, so my mother was left with my brother Junior. And Junior was he became a school teacher, but I had 6 brothers, and they all served in these services: Army, Navy, and
Right.
Air Force.
And
And
Jeannie, in your family, how many brothers did you have?
what?
I had 3. Well, there were 5, but 2 of them died in infancy. So there were 3 brothers, and they were 10 years apart.
Yeah.
Um,
So what was the neighborhood like on Willowdale Avenue at that time?
What was the neighborhood like on Willowdale Avenue?
It was a very nice neighborhood. We were a mixed neighborhood. We had Black friends and neighbors, and we got along together. We never had any problems.
It was mostly
I
Italian and
walked to school with a Black girl. Her name was
Yeah.
Ruth Morgan at the
But-
time.
And Jeannie, that
Walked
street,
from our house to
What's that?
Glenfield Park,
never mind, go ahead.
to Glenfield School.
Okay, now Aunt Jeannie's turn.
And we had, and I was at Glenfield School up until the 9th grade, because when I was in the 8th grade, they built an extension to Glenfield School and made it from 8th to 9th grade, so I didn't have to go up to Hillside.
Molly, you went to Glenfield School and then to the high school, right?
Then to high school, yes.
And Aunt Jeannie, what school did you go to?
Glenfield School and then right up to the high school. And we walked from Willowdale Avenue up to the school. We were given a dime for the bus. It was a nickel each way, but we didn't. We saved the money and we bought ice cream for lunch. There was 5 cents for an ice cream cone, and we saved the other nickel. And then we bought fabric and made our own clothes.
Glenfield Park was half a block away from me. Did you spend much time in Glenfield Park at the time?
Oh, we did. And
Yeah.
in fact, the summer months at night, they would show movies and we would go and watch the movies with the Ardane comedy. And, well, there was another one. Well, anyhow, we watched movies during the summer months, one night a week.
What about you, Aunt Molly? Did you go to Glenfield Park much?
Yes. I went to Glenfield Park. That's where we went. That was our activities. And played softball. Used to go down to the Glen when after a rainstorm, our brothers would go swimming in the brook.
In the brook.
And we girls would watch him until my father come along and blow the whistle and we had to run home. But it was a lot of fun. It had swings and we would always stop at the swing when we went to church. We would walk from Willowdale to Pine Street to Our Lady Mount Carmel Church. And then on our way back, we stopped at, I forgot what his name, the candy store. And we buy a couple of pieces of candy, go into the park and play on the swings and the seesaws. But they don't no longer have seesaws in parks. And I could see why. But anyway, one day Sonny was on the one of us were on a swing, and my brother Sonny was standing there. The swing hit him here, had a big gash over his eyebrow. Oh my God, that was awful. But it was a lot of fun. And one thing they did have, I don't know if Jeannie remembers that, back in the school, it was still part of Glenfield Park, they used to have a wading pool. And that's where we would go for cooling off in the summer because we didn't have any pools or anything. And we used to go to the pool to wade. And then after a while, they did away with it when they built the Glenfield Park, Glenfield School, 9th grade.
Okay.
So that was fun. And we would go in the pool with black and white, or whatever, our neighbors, and enjoy it.
Okay. And Aunt Jeannie.
No
I mean,
problem.
I've heard from a lot of your neighbors, both anybody, that they used to come after school to get hot chocolate that your mother always had on the stove. Your mother's had on the stove.
What
With
is that?
either tea or hot chocolate.
Your mother's.
And there would be a cake baked or bonnegot, stale bread soaked and with oil. And we enjoyed it. And our neighbors enjoyed it, all the kids
They
did.
used to make big pots of cocoa or tea. We never had coffee.
Right.
That's
and-
right.
After school, we would have that with graham crackers. That was a big deal. And the neighbors' kids would come in and join us.
So what was your experience in high school? Did you enjoy that?
Enjoy it. Well, it was very quiet. And I took different courses than the other kids did. So I had none of them in my class. So I was taking college courses because I thought I was going to go to college and be a teacher, which never happened. Because when I graduated, it was Depression. I know how to get my tail out and get a job. But anyway, so I was always alone. I didn't have any friends in my class because I had to walk home all alone with about 5 books in my arm and walk from Pine Street to Willowdale Avenue, the south end of town.
Yes,
What was school like for you?
enjoyable, but I had a lot of my friends. We went from kindergarten right through high school, and most of my friends were in my classes, and we really enjoyed it. Had a good time. It was good.
So both of you had jobs after high school. What was your job, Aunt Jeannie?
My job after high school, first of all, it was babysitting. Then I worked at the Gathman's candy store, or bakery rather, up at Watchung Plaza. And then I went to Flint's.
Me and we Flint.
And again, I earned $10 a week. And my paycheck was $9.92 because they just started the income tax.
Aunt Molly?
Oh, I worked at the razor blade factory in Bluefield. I ran a press that put the caps on the single blades, and I ran that press, that heavy press. And that's where I met my husband. He was my foreman, but he was only 5 years older than I. So he was, because he went to school in Newark, he was born in Newark. And when he was in the high school, I guess 11th grade, the teacher left the room and a couple of boys started throwing things around the room. When she got back, she picked a few of them, and he was one of them, and expelled them. So he went to his father and said, they threw me out of school. So his father said, good, I need help. His father was a shoemaker. So then he worked in the razor blade. So he was making $15 a week.
Wow.
Was head of the department. I came home with $7.52, and I worked 40 hours a week. So I gave my father $7 at the end of the week. I kept 52 cents. That was big, but I managed, and we managed.
So that was the end of the Depression and the beginning of World War II. Aunt Jeannie, what was it like for you during the war?
Actually, we did what we could. Well, first of all, we were on rations. We had to get stamps to buy certain foods. And, but we managed. Our parents did very well. We managed with what we had. And all the kids, hey, the kids didn't complain. They ate. They had their belly full.
You were living where?
Montclair Avenue.
Yeah.
Montclair Avenue, yeah. And
Right.
there, my mother, just about every day, writing a letter to my brother Danny, because he was overseas. He was in the Air Force.
Okay, Molly.
Yes.
Your brother, some of your brothers were in the service also.
Oh, yes. Well, at the same time, there was Christopher in the Navy, Nicky, and he was
The
Army policeman, and he was stationed in Italy. Bingo was stationed, he was in the Air Force, and he was a court recorder for the Army Air Base up in Alaska. Those three were in at the same time. And then there was Hip, my brother James was in station in the Medicorps station in India. Calcutta, India. And those were 4 at one time. Then later on, when the war was almost over, then my brother Sonny went to Japan in the medical corps, and Junior was in the Korean conflict, but he was stationed in Japan also, and that was it. And of course, when they were in the service, it was sad times because you're always worried how they're doing, even though they weren't in conflict. So it was fortunate. And so I think it was hard on the parents because you have your sons and they're away, you don't know what's happening. But I know we didn't hear from Hip, James, for a couple of months because we didn't know where he was. And my father got so nervous, he got the hiccups. It landed for a week or more. But he finally got to India, and that's where he was, and that's where he was discharged from.
And did the hiccups stop?
Huh?
Did the hiccups stop once you found them? No.
Did,
Oh, my hearing aid.
Aunt Jeannie,
Yes.
we already know how Molly met her husband. How did you meet your husband?
Oh, I worked in Newark on High Street. And
Asking you.
he worked nights
Uncle Bill.
and I worked days. And I always had a book or a magazine in my hand, reading, walking up Orange Street. And we would pass one another. And then one day he stopped me and he said, would you go for a drink with me? I said, oh, I don't think so. And I'm 25 years old now. And I said, I don't think my dad would appreciate me going out with you without a proper introduction. So he got my girlfriend to introduce us. And that's how I met him.
What year did you get
And-
married?
In 47.
Molly, what year did you get married?
I was married February 27, 1944.
A couple of years difference. So both of you, after you got married, where did you live?
Well, I lived with my parents for first 7 years. Then my father purchased a house across the street. So I lived there for 9 years. And then from there, I went to Grove Street, 185 Grove Street, December 30th, 1959.
Did Dad go with you?
And that's where I stayed until 2007.
And Jeannie, you also
Yes.
lived on Orange Road. You both lived on Orange Road after you got married. Is that correct?
Well, I first lived in Kearney for a few months. Then I
Okay.
lived with my parents for almost a year, and then moved to Orange Road, 303.
So what was that like on Orange Road? Because you had, on that block, there were 13 members of your family there.
Well, it was fun. The kids had a lot of fun. They had if they weren't in our yard, they were in Mildred's yard. But the kids and the brook, and then Peaky fell in the brook and split his head open. And I was pregnant for Janny, and I ran down the brook and carried him home. And but the kids had a ball. The boys they're still together today. Well,
Yeah.
you're part of that crew.
Yeah. But I remember growing up down there. There was everybody was in the South End, within one block on Orange Road. All my cousins, all my
That's
friends
right.
that later, and so most of them all went to what school? To Nishawayne, correct?
That's
Your
right.
kids-
Yes.
You went to Nishawayne, and
Nish-
yes. Marguerite,
Yes.
you went to Nishawayne also, correct?
Yes, I did, up into the third grade, up through third grade.
Yeah, and then everybody started to move towards the middle of town a little bit. That's correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, so good memories down there. And we had we were talking to Lonnie Brandon last month, and his cousin John Wood. So what was the dairy before the Woods Dairy was there? Do you remember?
Rudd's,
Rudd's Dairy, right?
Rudd's Dairy.
Rudd's, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun memories of the South End
I love
growing
the
up
South
down
End.
there with all that, with everybody down there, and all of our friends down there. And it was a good mix of people everywhere. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's kind of where Montclair was. They're talking about Montclair's diversity. It was all pretty much down the South End and the fourth ward. Is that correct?
yeah, true.
And it's still kind of like that, which is nice. I still find myself walking around down there. So, what organizations? Let's talk about what church you went to. Yeah, Jeannie.
Our Lady of Mount Carmel, we started in the old church, and then in 1937, the new church opened up, and we went to the new church. We're still going there, although it's closed down right now. But
Is that where you got married?
no, I got married in East Orange or West Orange, Saint. I don't remember the name of the church. Saint
All right, we'll have to look it up.
whatever.
And Molly,
Yeah.
where did you get married?
I got married, ceremonies were in Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church in 1944. That was the new church, yes. But I had my communion and confirmation in the old church.
Yeah, me
It
too.
used to be next door was an old church. That
It was a
was the
wooden
first
structure.
church, which was built in 1907. Then 1937, the new church was established. So that's where I was married, in the new church in
And-
1944.
And what organizations were you both involved in?
The American Legion, yes.
I belong to the Our Lady of Mount Carmel
Rosary.
Rosarians.
Rosarians.
The Rosarians.
Anyway, Rosarian. And then I
Yeah.
belong to the seniors of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Then I belonged to the American Legion Auxiliary for over 60 years.
And Aunt Jeannie belonged to that too?
Huh?
Aunt Jeannie was in that with you?
Yes, yes.
And what did you do? What did
uh,
you do for
even I
veterans?
was a chaplain.
Aunt Jeannie,
Yes.
what did you do for the veterans? They used to go and give the poppies out, and
Oh, yes, in fact, I was Poppy chairman for quite a few years and begging for dimes and nickels. But I don't see them out anymore.
yeah. So
Any of
what-
these,
Let me tell you, we belong to the American Legion, and we did it a lot for the veterans organizations. And we used to go to Overbrook and entertain the patients up there. We would bring them refreshments and then dance with them. And then I'd be dancing with somebody, and my brother Sonny will come and tap me on the shoulder. I get nervous. I thought it was one of the inmates. And then we went to East Orange Veterans Hospital very often, and went to play bingo and brought them refreshments. And the thing of it is, they put us up in the ward and locked the doors because they were mental. But we did that a lot. And then on Memorial Day weekend, we would go to the cemeteries and put flags on hundreds of graves, veterans' graves. And we did that for a number of years. And so it was pleasant, and we enjoyed it. We thought we
Jean-
were doing something good. I think we were.
And Jeannie,
Yes.
do you remember anything else about the town, like any of the feasts for the church, the parades, 4th of July parade, any other, the Buzz Aldrin parade, any of that?
Oh, yeah, but the thing is, I didn't participate, but I did eat the food.
The feasts
Yeah,
were,
no, we had,
there was a number of feasts then, right? So,
oh, yeah, there were about three of them, I think.
Oh,
The same.
I didn't participate, but I went to the parades
Yeah.
and watched. That was
but
it.
did you enjoy,
It was
did you,
fun. It
but
was a
you always went-
pleasure to see the people marching and celebrating the United States or America.
You're talking about July 4th parade?
Huh?
You're talking about the July 4th
Yeah.
parade now?
Yeah. And then when I used to go to the church feast, they used to have parades and we would go there. And I couldn't wait because we could walk in the middle of the street where all the food vendors were in the games. So we used to enjoy that. That was big for us.
and Jeannie,
Yeah,
did you work after you were married and had kids? And
oh,
And
yes,
where?
I worked at Montclair Community Hospital.
In the town hall first.
Oh, first in the town hall, in the treasurer's department, and then at the nursing department at Montclair Community. I was secretary to the director of nursing, who happened to have been the nurse when I had my daughter,
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
and she turned out to be my boss.
So you did most of everything that you did in your life was pretty much all centered around Montclair, correct?
Oh, just about everything.
Yeah. And
The
for-
only
for-
time I was out of Montclair is when I worked on High Street in Newark for 6 years.
what did you do there?
I was secretary,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
secretary. Yeah.
And Aunt Molly?
I worked at Madison's stationery store for 28 years.
Molly Madison used to call her. Used to call you Molly Madison.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. And anyway, so I worked there until my 70th birthday, and that's when I retired. So, of course, it was Christmas time, so I had a bonus and I had my pay. So I had at least $400 in my purse. So my daughter, my husband were going to pick me up, and we were going to dinner. So I go to get my purse out of the drawer. It was gone. One of the workers worked there, not the salespeople, one that worked around cleaning. He's the only one that knew we had our bags in that drawer. He took it and escaped. Well, it was too late for me to catch him because he was already gone. So it was sad, but it was another event. But we had a nice birthday dinner that night anyway.
Would have been better if you had the $400.
So,
Yes, you said.
so as you can see, most of their lives were spent in Montclair, in working there, schools, everything. So what do you think now, looking back on your lives in Montclair? Was it a good place to grow up?
Oh, yes.
Good place.
Indeed,
And
it
Jeannie,
was.
go
It
ahead.
was great growing up in Montclair.
It was.
Oh,
We were proud to be born in Montclair because we had wonderful relationships and it was a great town always. And that's my hometown.
Yeah.
Where are you
And-
from? I'm from Montclair. But now I live
Why can't you need to-
in Caldwell at our Marion Manor. Yeah. And it's
And Jeannie, where do you live?
I live on the farm in Blairstown. Oh,
She's a farm girl now.
Yes.
and I keep waiting for people to come and visit. I miss Montclair.
So there's a little plug. Jeannie sitting next to her. Jeannie and her husband own race farms in Blairstown, New Jersey. It's a great place to go and shop and pick apples and everything else. Give a little plug, Jeannie.
Thanks, cuz.
She makes ice cream. She was making ice cream today.
She just
And
made ice cream today.
apple cider donuts, everything. She's a real farm girl now. So great place to go. Okay, so anybody have any questions for either of these young ladies?
I have one that I'd like to ask. Some of the people talked about the street vendors that came around in their trucks or on their carts. Do you remember those?
Oh, yes. There was a Pete the Banana Man, and he a big hand of bananas into the house, and he would get a quarter for it. Plus, we kids used to steal what we could.
Oh,
We used to help ourselves to the bananas while he was in the house. But he knew we were doing it. Oh, there was a jewelry man.
In
The
our
man
early
who painted
years,
jewelry.
the peddlers used to be on a horse and buggy. And
Oh,
they
I don't remember.
delivered the coal with a horse and buggy. And
cold.
always had two black men on that big wagon. And my cousin Joey always picked on me. And he said, Molly's gonna marry the coal man. And I was a fool. I was a soft touch for him. So
Yeah. So
Iceman? Was there an Iceman?
what?
Was there an Iceman that used to come to the house?
Well, Iceman
Oh,
used
yeah.
to deliver the ice for the ice box. And the
Yeah,
milkman
that's
used to
right.
bring the milk and the bread. The boy that delivered the bread would come to the house.
Linda, how about you?
Yeah. Yes, I'd like to know what the school classrooms are like and what subjects you studied. And what, how many,
Oh, we had a good size class, good size classes. But it seemed like the same kids went from one grade to the next. And we had cooking classes, we had sewing classes, home economics, and of course, algebra, Italian. We had, in history, of course. And the worst part was trying to remember all the dates. We had to remember the dates in history.
Yeah, I enjoyed going to school.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice. And the teachers were great. The kids were great. We were mixed, black and white.
You remember Miss Bettis, Molly?
What?
Molly, do you
Miss
remember
Bettis?
Miss Bettis?
Oh, I had Miss Bettis. Oh my God. She was the only teacher that sent me to the cloakroom. So what did I do? Nothing. All I did was like this in my seat. She threw me in sent me to the cloakroom. That was punishment.
Well,
I
she
was
never had to
I was
send me to the
tired.
cloakroom.
how many kids were in the classes normally?
About 25.
Oh,
Okay.
About 25.
about 25, 26, yeah. We had good sized classrooms, grades, kids rather. But
Ralph
we
Dandre
enjoyed
was in my
school.
class.
School was fun. What'd you say, Molly?
Ralph Dandre was in my class.
Oh, yeah.
Was
I remember
he?
that.
My Uncle Ralph. Is that Molly?
Yeah,
Molly?
yeah.
My uncle was born in 1920, so he was a little older than you. I wanted to ask you though, do you remember
No.
Cherry Street?
he was younger.
Oh,
Born in
yeah.
1920. Yeah, he was younger. I'm sorry. Do you remember Cherry Street? Cherry
Yep.
Street, which ran along. You do.
I did.
Yeah, my grandparents and my parents were the DeAndres, They married Adamante. Now, my uncle, Vito, came from Italy. We're all from Lacedonia. In the 60s, he had married a Di Geronimo. And
One
he
thing
went back to
that-
Vito. Do you remember
When
that?
I
They had a
was-
big party then.
Oh, he's forever
You were
talking.
probably there.
Most likely.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
gonna-
Ralph DeAndrea is my dad. Leanne, I'm
Oh,
here.
Leanne, there you are.
Yeah,
And my cousin. Okay. I have to
Yeah.
ask Jeannie one more question. You said you worked in Madison's. You
No,
probably
Molly
worked with
worked
my-
in Madison.
Oh, you probably
I
worked with
worked
my
in
aunt,
Madison's
my
with
aunt
her
Ray,
ex.
my aunt Ray Patea. You knew my aunt Ray Patea?
Yes.
Ray, who was at DeAndre.
Ray DeAndrea.
He worked in Madison's for many years.
Anyway, I was gonna say,
Okay.
when I was in 10th grade,
Mhm.
I took Latin. And my teacher was Mrs. Jeffrey, Peter's mother, before Peter was born. But she was married and she was pregnant at the time. So I had her in 10th grade. About 25 years later, I used to go to Newark to shop, so get on the bus. And when I was crossing the street to go to the bus stop, this woman was standing there and she said, "Hello, Mary," because that's what they call me in school, Mary. It was Mrs. Jeffrey. She remembered me 25 years. So I guess I didn't change much, did I? I think I did.
You got a couple of questions in the chat room. One is, did you speak Italian in your houses when you were growing up?
Did you speak
No.
Italian in the house?
No, we didn't.
No, never.
That's
Did you
No.
learn
No.
Italian or did you learn it in school or do you speak
In
Italian
school.
now?
Very little. I speak very little.
Do you speak
And then they also wanted to know if there were other guys other than the coal people that came around on horses.
Yes, the Iceman. And then,
But not on a horse.
yes, he did.
the old days.
Yes, he did. Jeannie, you forgot.
Okay.
And
All right.
then someone else wanted to know whether or not you knew any of the Gilbreth kids or
No.
went to school
Oh,
with
one
them.
of them was in my class. One of the boys was in my class,
Yeah, you didn't know.
of the Gilbreths.
The Gilbreths. You didn't know the Gilbreths.
No.
No.
I knew of them.
They're from High Street.
Oh, the Gilbreths?
Yeah.
We live close to High Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just went down Cedar Avenue and then, well, that Cedar Avenue was new after, remember, Cedar Avenue wasn't always there, but you go down Cedar Avenue and you go up to High Street
Right,
and it was near Nishwayne School.
right.
And that's where the Gilbreths live.
That was
Well,
great.
Buzz Aldrin went to school with my sister Mercedes.
And
He was in her
he
class.
graduated with my brother Bingo, maybe Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes.
And
Yeah.
excuse me. And he oh God, I'm running dry.
Molly, are you sipping wine?
Yes, she needs wine.
And I have a Montclair time sheet with Buzz Aldrin and my brother and a couple other classmates after he did the moonshot. And I still have that piece of paper.
Karen, why don't you ask your question?
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. I just want to know if hi Aunt Molly and hi Aunt Jeannie, this is Karen from California. Just
Oh,
calling. Hi, nice to see your beautiful faces tonight. I just wanted to know if you ever went into Manhattan as children and what did you do there if you went?
No,
No,
I don't
Okay,
remember.
thank you. Yeah. Mhm.
no, I don't either.
Okay.
That was
We didn't go
far.
out of Montclair. Manhattan Club, our fathers belonged to, ran a trip to the Long Branch, New Jersey.
See me with my glasses
But
stuck
we
in
had
my
to go
shirt.
by train because there were no buses or whatever. And we get on the train, it's so hot. You had to open the windows and that soot from the smoke came into it was awful. But we were happy because we were going to the beach. That was it.
You got a lot of questions in the chat room here, so let's see. Can you each name your siblings?
Go ahead, Aunt Jeannie.
Oh, sure.
Aunt Jeannie's gonna
I
name.
could start from the top and go down, from the oldest down. There's Mildred, Mary, Joey, Rachel, Lulu, then me, Gloria, Danny, Eleanor, Mercedes, Dolores, Marianne, and Vincent.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, now you do it.
Yours.
Marty.
Well, I'll go start with the sister I lost. Lily, Sonny, my brother Joseph, me, my brother Hip, who's James, Mildred, who passed away at 96, Marguerite, Christopher, Sebastian, we call Bingo, Nikki, Sarah,
And oh, Sarah and Junior
Sarah.
and Anna Rita.
Then I had my brother Junior, Anna Rita, but in between Junior and Anna Rita, I had a little brother who passed away at 6 months. He was Anthony.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think I named everybody.
Yes, you did.
I did? Good.
Yes, you did.
Someone else asked you if you knew or could talk about Yogi Berra.
Oh, we just loved him. And oh boy, he lived in Montclair. Oh
Asking
boy.
about Yogi Berra. Did you know Yogi Berra?
Oh, I was married at the time. My husband and I would go to the Yankee games, and especially if they had double headers. And we made use of that. And that was when Yogi was playing, oh God almighty,
Mantle.
all the Joe DiMaggio, Whitey Ford, Ted Williams, he was the Boston, Bradka, he was a pitcher for the Yankees, Rizzuto, all that was a perfect team. And we would go and see them quite often.
Come back. Jeannie, how about going to the theater? Do you remember the theaters to talk
No,
about them? What did you see?
Just in Montclair and Bloomfield, the theaters. And the thing is, I was running for treasurer of the 9th grade. And that's when my sister Lulu, my friend Rosie Misha, and I played hooky and went to the Royal Theater. And when we got there, they were giving away these bowls, and we walked in and going in front of people, and we're laughing because our bowls are clanking. And then we were worried about the truant officer. But we enjoyed the movie. We cried in the movie. Oh, the Something of the Lonesome Pine was the movie.
How often did you come up to Upper Montclair across the Watchung Avenue line? We in Upper didn't come down, or I didn't anyway, but interesting to know. It's a real boundary that kept you from Upper Montclair.
No, we didn't know anybody.
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
The only time we did that was when we'd go home with my dad, and he's delivering clothing. to some of the homes there.
Oh,
Only when we went to school, if we had any activities, but other than that, we had no reason to go up there.
You didn't have
We just
transportation
stopped
either.
around our own.
Plus you didn't have transportation. You walked there.
Oh, and walk all, hey, I lived in Montclair on Orange Road. I used to walk to Bluefield, the end of Wassessing Park to work every morning. Then I had a ride home, but I used to walk it from Orange Road to Wassessing Park.
Okay.
I walked all over. And then when I worked at Madison's, I lived on Grove Street. My husband was retired, so I didn't have him drive me to work. I walked, rain, sleet, or snow. I would walk, but he would pick me up because I wanted to walk. Maybe that's why I'm living so long.
Molly, I wanted to find out about your casino trips that you used to go on. My mom, Rosalie Nicastro, Tango, and my dad, Vince Nicastro, would talk about having so much fun with all the DiGeronimos on the trips down to the casinos.
Our organization did. We have a trip overnight to Atlantic City, and we would stay at the one of the motels, and then in the next day we would go to the casino. That was the American Legion, and then the church ran a couple of shows. That was it. I didn't go that often, but it's a good
We
thing.
went a couple of times a year.
Yeah, not too
We
often.
went a couple of times a year, and they used to tell jokes on the bus,
Oh,
and we used to sing.
no, we can't tell them on here.
How about the kazoo, Molly?
But then
Wait, please, one joke, please.
huh?
No, trust me.
I have another question in the chat box. How about we divert the attention here? What were Christmas decorations like?
Oh, well, let me tell you something. We always had a Christmas tree, didn't we, Jeannie? But one time, Jeannie made a tree fall. And she tells me now I told her to go under the tree. I don't remember that, but maybe I did.
I wouldn't
There's
lie.
something back there I wanted. I couldn't go under it. I was a couple of years older than you.
I know, you bossed me around. You still boss me around.
She won't live that one down because I bring it up to her all the time.
I just want to make a
What were the
comment.
decorations like?
I just want to make a comment that Jeannie will be 100 in February, and they had a big party for her on her 90th and her 95th, and she danced all night both times. So I'm looking forward to seeing that again. One of my favorite dancers ever.
Oh, really, Donnie?
Yep.
Oh,
And I want to make one more comment. The peddlers that used to come down the South End, there was one guy had an old school bus, and he had all kinds of vegetables in it. You'd have the coal truck come there, but my favorite of all was the Biangaline man. Does everybody know what that was? He used to bring
Yeah.
gallon bottles.
He would come and he would yell, Youngaline. He had a truck, so we would buy our washing fluid. My mother, not me. But then there used to be a man that used to come around selling tripe.
Ew.
And he was bloody. They would buy it, but it was awful bad because they had to clean it. But I love it now. I do. My kids love it too.
No, I don't.
You made tripe for your mother, Jeannie?
Adler used to
but I ate it.
Somebody else is talking.
come on.
I enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Molly, when you make it, make some for me, okay?
What'd she say? There must have been something.
No, she said if you make tripe, make some for her.
I don't make it. I never made it. My mother used to make it.
Yeah, my mother too.
I wouldn't make it. But I like it.
Hey, you know what? The amazing thing with our families together, there were only 2 bathrooms and we never had a problem. How come?
People in the house. And we had no problems.
No,
Well, we weren't making makeup then, so you didn't take time in the bathroom.
no, that's
When I
true.
lived at 282, Mildred would spend time in the bathroom. She had to be perfect, you know, before she went to work.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my 2 sisters worked at, Hoffman La Roche. No, that other one, that war place.
They're kidding.
Walter Kidded. And they both, 2 sisters, one was a little bigger than the other. So they had different size pants, but they had the same little, same type pants. So one day they got to work and Mildred says to my sister, Marguerite, Marguerite, stand up. Marguerite put the wrong pants on, the shorter pants, the smaller pants. Mildred had it was fun. It was funny.
So your great grandniece Emma says hi and asks you, what restaurants did you go to when you were in your 20s?
Star Tavern, Molly.
Star Tavern.
Star Tavern.
When I worked in Madison, I used to go to Grunnings for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
then we used to go to a restaurant in
Wedgwood.
Newark,
And the Wedgwood, yeah.
and
How about the
restaurants
Wedgwood,
in
Molly?
Silver Lake.
And then
But
one
it's
of your
mostly out of
favorite
town.
memories from Montclair way back when you were young?
Well, going to the park.
Favorite memory from when you.
That was a treat, going to the park. And then we would pay a dime to get into the Wellmont Theater with the passes from the tailor shop. But we made our own activity, actually.
Activities.
Well,
and
we did
fun.
our own. We used to play baseball in the street because where we lived on Willowdale, across the street weren't any houses. There was a fence, took a whole block, because on the other side of the fence were Glenridge tennis courts. So we would always benefit with the balls that came over. So with the balls and a broomstick, we would get out in the street and play baseball with the boys and the girls. And we played games together, you know, and we never had toys. We had one sled with a family, about 20 kids. We would go sleigh riding on Monroe Place and on Farmers Hill on the corner of Lincoln and Willowdale. We were happy. We shared. That's one thing.
And
When you're in a big family, you learn how to share, and love one another. And we did. Didn't we, Jeannie?
Oh, yes, we did.
I
We
love
fought
you.
for one
I
another.
had to. I love you still.
I got something on that fence across the street next to that tennis court. Up until maybe a dozen years ago, your names were still on there. Like there was Lulu's. I think your name was on it, Jeannie. You had
Yeah.
written your names on the fence. They
You
stayed
made
there from probably 1939 up until probably 2005. But finally somebody painted over it. Finally.
Oh, they had a lot of nerve.
I have a picture of it somewhere. Yeah.
Is that fence still there, I wonder?
The fence is still there. It's painted green now.
I'd love to go up that street. I know every house where everybody lived.
Well, that really was a cement wall.
Yeah. Cement
Yeah.
wall.
The cement wall.
Yes, it was concrete, yeah.
Yeah.
Janet, do you want to ask a question? You unmuted yourself.
I just love to just like watch them. Because you never know what's going to come out.
Well, that's
right,
true.
Margie? You never know what's going to come out. And I love that.
How you doing?
I do. I love that.
I asked my aunties a question. It's your nephew, John.
Do.
Oh.
how were Italians perceived, or how did you feel you guys were accepted in town in the early 1900s?
Well, actually, we just figured, hey, we're here, you accept us or else.
Did you hear?
Did you guys
No,
ever
actually,
feel
I don't-
left out, or
There was no problem. There was no problem.
Did you?
why didn't your
Other
parents
people
teach you
were-
to speak Italian?
Didn't accept us. Well,
Well,
when we lived in Montclair,
okay.
you couldn't move across. Well, the first family on Columbus Avenue was the Crusoes, Cheddar and Bando. They were the first Italians on that street. Now, when I lived on Grove, in the backs, well, Columbus Avenue rather than that way. So the backyard of my house met with these backyards on Columbus. And there was I guess she was Irish or English family. And they had a daughter my daughter's age. Her mother didn't want her daughter to play with my daughter because she was Italian. But they were in the same class and became close friends. So it was like that. There were certain areas in Montclair they weren't allowed to buy a house, but they also did that to Black people. So, but it all panned out. It's different now. Everybody accepts one another, respects them.
How about speaking Italian? What was the reason why you guys weren't taught to speak Italian?
He's asking.
We didn't, only our parents spoke Italian. My father had to handle the people that came into the store, so he had to speak English. So he was learning by talking to the kids, the children in the house. And he spoke good English.
But your mothers didn't speak Italian, did they?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Your mother
And
spoke Italian?
not to us, but they spoke Italian to
No,
their husbands.
your mother married an Italian immigrant very early. She was 15. My mother was 20 by the time.
Oh, yeah, but.
She didn't speak Italian at all.
Oh, really?
So we never heard it in the house, only heard it at.
Well, how did your father and mother communicate?
They must have communicated okay. They had a lot of kids.
They communicated 13 times.
That's the same language all over.
Oh, gee, I can't believe your mother didn't speak Italian. Oh, wow. Come si chiama?
Jory asks if you knew Josephine Bonomo. She grew up in Glen Ridge in Montclair, still lives there, just turned 100, and was a reporter for the Newark Evening News.
Josephine who?
Bonomo.
Bonomo? I don't think so.
Bonomo?
The name is familiar.
Yeah, she was from Glen
They
Ridge.
lived in Glen Ridge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Montclair, he says.
Yes, Glen
Yeah.
Ridge and then Montclair.
Yeah.
If-
Well,
I
I
think-
really didn't know her, but I knew her cousins.
Yeah, she's a great lady. She just turned 100 like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wish her a happy birthday.
Turned 100.
I bought a, yeah.
We will do that.
Oh, wonderful.
Can you tell us how your husbands got to Montclair in the first place?
Well, Bill followed me.
No, I mean, not your husbands, your fathers. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Molly knows.
Do you know how your fathers got to Montclair?
When?
I mean, of all
Why?
places.
Why did they end up in Montclair?
You know, I don't know.
Maybe
But
Donnie
my
knows.
uncle came maybe a month or so before my father, because my father was in the Italian army. He played in the Italian army band. So when he was discharged, instead of going, getting on the boat and going back to Avellino, where his mother lived, stepmother, didn't go home because they didn't like the stepmother. So they came, he got on a boat and came to Montclair. And he got into Montclair 1906.
Yes.
I think it was 1906.
He came a couple of months after his brother.
October.
His brother came in
But
June.
anyway.
He came in October.
Donnie, do you know why they went to Montclair?
There were a lot of people from Lacedonia there. They probably had jobs. You know, there was a lot of the people there already from their town.
Oh, well, wherever. They both landed in Montclair. His brother came.
They came right to Montclair.
And then my father.
Their mother was very mean, wasn't she?
With their stepmother.
Yeah,
That's the
Yeah.
rumor, but no.
So that's what we heard.
yeah, that she was very mean to them.
Yeah.
And she used to
Oh.
pick at Uncle Dan a lot.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I don't know about
Grandpa's
that.
stepmother was mean to him.
That's what they say. They didn't like her, so.
She really used to pick at him. Rocco must have told us that. How else would I know?
How would Rocco know?
When we were there, when we were in front of where they lived, which I can't even believe they lived in that.
Now you're lying.
Where was this,
And he
Jen?
said she was not nice to them at all.
Well,
Johnny,
it was
you're trying to
mainly
get, Johnny, you're
Uncle
trying to get
Dan.
into some dirt now.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
I do. I do.
Hi,
I-
Jan.
Hi. I've heard a lot about the very famous Sunday dinners that are Italian in Montclair.
Oh,
Comment about that?
oh, well, yeah, pasta. Everybody around the table and lots of pasta
Meatballs?
and meatballs. But the thing is, after we finished our pasta, Uncle Dan would pass out the meatballs. And then we'd have our meatballs.
And you know
Yeah.
what, Jeannie? Do you
What?
remember we never had bread on the table when we had pasta?
That's right.
Oh,
You're right.
And today they have to
Yeah.
have bread with their pasta. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Hey, to each his own.
I
But
know.
you
but
don't
it's
have to
not
eat it,
right.
but I
A lot
eat
of
it too.
carbohydrates.
That's right. Too
Because
many
I know a
carbs.
lot of stuff that we
They
never
knew
put
back
in.
then.
and also, I hear about Christmas Eve, there are the 7 fishes.
First start out with the antipasta,
Christmas
then
Eve.
the soup, and then
Did you do the 7 fishes?
oh geez, yes they did. Oh, and we used to see the eels squirming in the hot oil. They were so good. Yes, we had a lot of. Oh, I can't think of all the fish we had. It's been so long.
Christmas Eve was great until you made a tree fall.
You made me do it. You're still bossing me around.
But you know what? At one time, my father had a Santa Claus suit. So he dressed
yeah.
as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
We kids thought it was Santa Claus, but it was my father. But anyway, when we got our stockings, we didn't have fancy stockings. One of our old stockings, clean, we would have a few coins in it, a few hard candies from Charms, a tangerine.
Tangerine,
To
yeah.
this day, when I eat tangerine, it always reminds me of Christmas years ago.
Yeah.
That odor.
And Molly, the coins, it was a dime. We were rich. We got a dime in our stockings.
But we were happy. We didn't get
But
a whole lot of toys. We got one toy. A doll.
Yeah, we all got a doll. And then we shared the little tubs and the clothespins and the line. Hey, we had it made.
And then Christmas Eve, we would stay up through the night playing lotto with pennies.
Oh, yeah.
And that was lots of fun.
Yeah.
You know,
We did that.
Nice memories.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
In the South End, when growing up, I remember we used to have macaroni on Sunday at 282, but then everybody used to go across the street and play bocce and behind Uncle Sonny's house. But there was a bocce court at 282 at one point, but they had a beautiful one behind Uncle Sonny's house with lights and everything. They would play. That was all through the 50s. Do you remember that?
Do you remember?
I
bocce
don't
courts?
remember.
Oh, we had bocce courts in our backyard.
But do you remember one over by Uncle Sonny's house?
Well, no, not on Sonny's house. Yeah, on Orange Road.
Yeah.
It was between his house and my house where I live. But then we had one in 282 Orange Road. We had a grape arbor and we had a bocce court through that. Because our yard used to face Dishwayne school back playground.
So we've got only a few minutes left. So if anybody else has any other questions, they can ask. Ashley Cosgrove. So I'm assuming you are talking to Grandma Jeannie. Wants to know what your earliest memory is. I think it might have to do with knocking down a Christmas tree.
My early. I don't know, really.
Your
Just
earliest
know
memory of
that a lot-
Montclair.
Say that again.
Your earliest memory of Montclair.
My earliest memory was going to Glenfield School, meeting my friends on the Wheeler Street entrance of the park. There were black and white friends, and we'd walk to school. We enjoyed school.
I have a question for you, Aunt Jeannie. Did you go? I know my mother is around the same age as you. Did you go across the street from Glenfield in the
Community house?
Yeah, the community house? Yes.
Oh, yes. I learned how to play the scale on the piano and I joined the Girl Scouts.
And that's now a pre-K. I mean, yeah, pre-K.
Oh, really?
The junior league used to run that. I think that was after Molly, though. No, did you go there, Aunt Molly?
Where?
The junior league, the community house.
The community house?
Oh, we went there all the time. I forgot what her name was. Miss Hook. Was it Hook? We used to mock her because she had big feet. Poor soul. We were cruel sometimes. But we had lots of fun there.
Yeah.
What did you do there besides mock the woman?
Oh, we had games. I don't know. I forgot what the heck we did there.
My mother remembered there being dances there after Glenfield School, like when they were in 6th, 7th grade. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
That's true.
Dances,
That's true.
dances.
Oh, in school we did at Glenfield School. Every Friday night, I think it was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What?
Yes, you're right.
How about skating on Edgemont Park?
Skating.
Oh, no, I never did that.
Did you ever skate on Edgemont Pond?
I never stood on skates, ice skates or roller skates. I'm afraid of falling. But my kids did.
Yeah, we
Marguerite did. Ray did.
Yeah. Well, we had a wonderful life.
Mm-hmm.
We really did.
Well, this has been a lovely treat. We're going to officially wrap this up at 8:30, but should anybody want to hang on, you can hang on and just keep chatting if you'd like. I'd like to once again thank Red Star Paint and DiGeronimo Realty for their sponsorship of tonight's program, and Molly and Jeannie and their translators for coming on for us as well, and Donato for your guidance of this program and hosting it, and thank you very much. So keep going if you will.
I want to say one more thing. I'm going to add to Jane. Jane has done a wonderful job. Go onto their website, become a member for one thing, but they have a lot of videos on YouTube of all their programs that they've been doing. And you'll learn a lot of history about Montclair. You can go through the Montclair History Center's website to their YouTube channel. There's a lot of videos of a lot of their programs. Very interesting.
And I just
Lauren,
actually
become a
heard,
member.
I heard
Go
from TV 34 today that he's going to start airing some of the History at Home programs on TV 34 for us as well. So
That's great.
yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right,
If anybody
everybody.
wants to
Thank
stay
you.
around, we
you.
can talk.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.